All right. Yep. Okay, can everybody see my screen? It should say Marketing Made Easy, White Label Services.
Got it.
Rock on. Well, good morning, everybody. My name is McHugh David. I am the Executive Director of the Louisiana Press Association. Mr. Bill Tice is here. He is our Ad Director and Advertising Salesperson. Bill, if you'd like to say hello.
Good morning, everyone. Kim, it's good to finally meet you, at least through video. Randy, good morning.
Hey, Bill.
David, Morris, good morning to you guys.
So yeah, a lot of us know each other. I appreciate those of you who were here last week who came back. Kim, thanks for joining us. You're the new person on the block this week. So today we're going to be discussing LPA Marketing's white label services. A lot of you were here last week. We're trying to refine this process a little bit. So we are going to go through the presentation again, and then we're going to open it up for questions. I know folks' time is valuable. We are going to cut this off at about 11. We started at 11:05. So 10:05. We're going to cut it off at about 11:05. That doesn't mean you cannot email Bill and I with questions or give us a shout. Our contact information is at the end of the presentation. It's mainly for Kim. I know everybody else knows how to dig me up. So getting into it, what LPA's white label service is an answer to some questions on y'all's end with regard to your local communities and trying to either expand with your current clients, get old clients to come back because we're going to help you offer something new, or find new clients who you may not have been able to open the door because you did not have the breadth of marketing that they required, wanted, needed, whatever. From our end, it helps us get what I would call warm or hot leads. Right now, through the first 6 months of the year, Bill and I have discussed this quite a bit. It's been very difficult to convert cold calls, and it has been very difficult to just get people to not ghost us on a meeting, to actually show up and be invested. And that's one of the partnerships we believe, well, Jerry, our former director, and Bill thought, and Bill and I are taking it and running with it. Getting those warm and hot leads, it's a lot easier to get a meeting because there's already a relationship established. So, and excuse me, my mouse, it's probably time for a new mouse. My mouse track is terrible. And so this is one of the slides where we actually made a small change, just haven't gotten to it yet. But these are the questions you might be asking yourself as you're kind of looking at your P&Ls. You're looking at some of the things that you might have in and around your community, and looking at your accounts receivable list and be like, this is smaller than it used to be. Where's all my business gone? So why are my longstanding customers reducing their spend with me, right? How can I strategize to increase revenue within my community? And this year too, we are ready to act. Specifically, Bill is very ready to act. And we'll talk about a few things that we're doing on our end as well to expand how quickly we can act and how much more we can do. And how can I counterbalance the decline in print revenue by cultivating new income streams? We're all looking at that. That's going to be a very interesting thing going forward, especially if you've been paying attention to what we've been doing at the legislature. In 2026, that'll be kind of our battleground to solidify the law that we passed last year, which would translate to digital first notices for public notice starting in 2027. So that's something important to keep in mind. The part that we wanted to change was number 2. How can I acquire the digital expertise necessary to enhance my revenue growth? This is more about how can I leverage my membership in LPA to utilize their digital suite and Bill's knowledge to enhance my relationship with my current and potential customers in my community. That's really what this program is about. It's a partnership between us and you to try and help everybody make some money and expand your name and your local community and LPA's name throughout the state. So if you answered yes to any of those questions, then this program is for you. So I might have to use my keyboard. So this is a partnership that works. Thank you, Norris, for being here. If you were here for last meeting, you heard Norris talk a lot about he and his partner Dale's participation in the program and how much it has benefited them. We're going to give you a minute, Norris, to talk about it, and you and Bill can kind of go back and forth about some of the things that have happened with y'all in the hospital that you worked with. But this is a very high level view of the program. Basically, you reach out to us with a list of clients that you are interested in presenting this to. Bill works on a deep dive of those clients in terms of a digital audit. He will then meet with you and your team, discuss a strategy, and then you go after the client. And it kind of goes organically from there, depending on how that meeting goes. So, excuse me, this is the workflow, and I always send this out. I think did everybody get this from last week except Kim? Kim, I will send you this presentation after this meeting.
Yes.
This is I'm not going to go through every point. This is very much in the weeds, but when you get the presentation, if you're curious about how this will work step by step, this is the slide for you. I believe this is page 4. So please, when you get this and you're kind of like, oh, they talked about a lot, this is really going to break it down for you step by step is this slide here. So here's us in action. And this is where I'm going to turn it over to Bill and Norris for a second to talk about the hospital that they worked with and sort of the process that they went through. So we're going to switch it up a little bit. Bill, why don't you start this time and talk about how they we mentioned this to Norris, he and Dale got with you, and then you started. What did you do then?
Yeah. So as McHugh stated, they showed some interest with a longstanding customer of theirs, a hospital actually down in Plaquemine Parish. And they gave me the name of the hospital. From there, I went and pulled digital audits through Google. I looked at what they were doing socially, pulling audits on that. I looked at their competitors. I did a deep dive on everything their competitors were doing in that area, trying to find holes, opportunities for Plaquemine Medical Center to gain footing. Did a lot of research, and then Dale and Norris and I met. I presented that information to them. I showed them the problems that I found with the hospital's current marketing strategy. We talked about holes and issues that were in their competitors' strategy. I laid out where I thought their opportunity for gain with the customer was. Through a couple more meetings, we all agreed that, yeah, this is a clear path forward for them. This is a meeting for us to now have a meeting with the hospital. Dale scheduled that meeting. We had that meeting. That meeting went very well. In addition to sharing and showing the findings, we were also able to skillfully have an evaluate need meeting with them and uncover even more of that opportunity with them. We asked them if they agreed that if we could show them how we might be able to help them with these key areas that were in line with goals that the hospital had, would they be willing to listen to a proposal? They said, yes, we would. We set a second meeting with them. I came back, built out the proposal based on the hospital's needs and the needs that we found through our audit. And then showed that to Dale and Norris. They agreed it looked good. We had the talk track down. We had the meeting with the hospital administrator. That went well. She was very happy. The initial budget was a little high for them. The need was in line, but they didn't have all the resources just yet to address all of their need. So we revised the deck, I believe one time, and then we went back. She loved it. She got approval from the board, and the rest is history. So it's a 12-month campaign that we're in. It's all digital, and it's services and products that, you know, Dale and Norris admittedly would not have been able to provide on their own, that with our cooperation and our union working together, we were able to secure for them.
So good points there. Norris, from your side, talk about, you know, we already established you came to Bill. Bill kind of went through the flow. From your side, you know, talk about first your participation with Bill or Dale. I know Dale
Well,
did a lot of the meetings.
Sure.
And then talk to us about, you know, how the client has spoken to you about the program.
Sure. Well, we started the campaign, I think, in April, and it stems back from these sales meetings that Jerry and Bill first initiated, going back to the beginning of the year. And like most of you, I got one eye on the laptop doing the Zoom meeting, and then another eye on my other computer checking out chats. But I heard Jerry and Bill continue to talk about the digital marketing, and I realized our local hospital was getting ready to open up a new location. In the midst of them getting the location ready, a private operator decided to open up an urgent care, which is literally right next door. So where we had no urgent care services in the town of Bellchase prior, we were about to have two of them. And our local hospital has been a good customer of ours, both in the newspaper and printing. So I realized they had a great need for it. I spoke to the administrator at the hospital when I ran into her at the post office. And I think that's the beauty of this program, pairing it with publishers and local newspapers. You know the people. I saw her at the post office, and the administrator, and I said, "Hey, Leslie, we have these new services that the Press Association is marketing. You might be interested in." And once I told her, she got excited and said, "Oh, we did that. We did that last year, and it worked great, but it was very expensive. But now we're getting ready to open a new facility, and yes, I'm interested." So we had a hot prospect that I thought, if it was done right, it would do that. It would benefit everyone, including us, who you're right, McHugh and Bill, we would not have had any digital income on a program like this if it wouldn't be the LPA partnering to do it. So it's worked out great. To be quite honest with you, I think we're increasing the business at the private one next to the public one, because I think some people are going to new urgent cares and don't realize the difference between the hospital and the private offering, especially since the hospital one is located behind the post office, so it doesn't have great frontage view. I think those things will change because the local hospital is working on better signage and getting it up and going. But the bottom line is, what we have is a good print customer and an advertiser that buys close to maybe $6,000 of print advertising a year historically. Last year it was much higher, but when I look over their account, most of the advertising they did with us was looking for help. It was hiring and, big display ads. So So last year's advertising budget that they spent with us was much higher. I'd say 40% higher than normally, but the whole 40% was looking to hire people for both the existing facility and the new one. This year, assuming we're going to go through the whole 12 months, we will probably match last year's budget of being 40% higher than normal, but most of that is not going to be on hiring ads. It's going to be on digital services. If they continue to run help wanted ads, we may be up 40% from last year. It just depends on how this year plays out. But and to give you an idea, 40%, I don't mind talking numbers. We're in a small area. They'll probably add another close to $10,000 of revenue to our company doing this digital services. The key is going to be that it's successful. So we're going to stay plugged into the local operator. As I see where I think signage may help, when I run into it at civic groups, at different meetings or dinners locally, I'm going to tell her, hey, did you think about this? You need to increase your highway frontage. So, as we do normally with our business, we're going to work with the customer anytime I think some input is valuable to help them so that they're successful and they understand that their success is dependent upon any marketing services we can offer, whether it's free, hey, I think you need a better sign, or hey, how's those digital services going? So I'm excited about this. It was the right customer. It was the right timing because they were opening up this new facility. But it's a learning opportunity for us to try to figure out who else is out there that would benefit from this. So that's my spiel. McHugh, you can send me my check for saying no.
Well, we do anyway.
I feel totally confident in working with each other to build up our industry because there have been too many industries that have picked our income streams apart and they're still parting it out. So I've learned more from round and talking with my cohorts than I have on any other training. So, if anyone has questions, you can ask on this call, you can email me, you can call me. It doesn't matter. I'm always working.
Thanks, Norris. I appreciate your perspective on it. Norris brought up two things that I do want to discuss. We have already brought it up, but it's important to note, and I'm glad he mentioned this time. They did have a prior relationship with this company, but as he said, it was mostly, either, I don't know if they were classified or display, but help wanted ads, and that was about it. This has allowed them to expand their relationship with that client to get more business, right? And excuse me. The second thing that he brought up is being able to learn about this process, but being able to then take it, not necessarily that his business partner, or anybody in his staff has to affect it, but now that they have had that relationship that has been enhanced with both us at LPA Marketing and at the hospital, they can now take that and sell it in their local community. And we basically become assistants, really. We are there to help navigate that, help provide the data, participate in the sales calls, tell them how it's going to work. But the more comfortable you get with it, the more you know about it. As we all know, everybody here has either been a publisher or, in sales. The more comfortable you get with something, the easier it gets to sell it. So that's what we're working on. The first one took a little while that we did with them, to get that set up and going. But as we get more comfortable with it on our side, and as you get more comfortable with it, it'll become easier to work with clients. So thank you, Bill, for your part of it. And thank you, Norris, for your part as well. So when we're talking about types of businesses in your community that could really benefit from this program, and to be frank, usually have the kind of budget that would allow them to participate in a program like this, You can see this list over here on the right. I watched the video from last time, kind of like how I didn't go through the step by step. I read this off. It was a little awkward. So if you're interested in this, I recommend when I send this out, or if you already have it, look at this list and put something together. One of the things that I discussed with Bill last week that I want to mention is it doesn't hurt to reach out to us, I guess is the easiest way to put it. Look at this list, put together a list of businesses that are in your area, particularly ones that had a prior relationship with your paper, and send it to us, and we can start working on it. I mean, this is one of those things where the best day to get started is right now. And, as we work through this process with you, you'd be surprised what, kind of like Norris said, and definitely what Bill said, as we worked through it with these companies or with this hospital, we found out they had more than just one need, which of course increases their spend because we can meet that requirement. So please, please, please look at this list, see if you've got any companies like that in your local area, especially ones that you had a prior relationship with. They're great targets for us. And here's the bottom line. This is a partnership between you and us. We are trying to enhance your membership to offer more. And this is one of the ways we found that we can do it. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, the goal is, for us to bring the expertise and for you to bring that warm or hot lead that we can work with, and we can help expand what you can offer locally in terms of advertising, right? So we're trying to increase revenue for everybody. And the bottom line is, we're splitting this money evenly. So if a campaign costs a client $1,000, the hard cost of getting it all set up are $500. You, the member, would get $250. LPA would get $250, and that's how it works going forward. It's an even split after costs are handled. This is who we are. LPA Marketing. We came into existence last year when we found that it would be better, both tax-wise and legally, for the LPA to be split into two different entities. There's still the Louisiana Press Association, which is now a nonprofit membership-based entity. And then there is LPA Marketing, which is what we're selling advertising through. That's who you would be working with, which is a for-profit entity. One of the things I do want to discuss, because someone, and by someone, well, I'm not going to say who it was, but someone asked me after the last meeting, how were we going to be able to logistically handle this? Part of that is we are looking at hiring some interns to work underneath Bill to do a lot of the research and a lot of the customer service that's on the back end, a lot of inputting and that kind of thing. Plus it gets them, real life training that, let's be real, they're probably not getting in school. Academia and business rarely ever speak the same language, which is a conversation I've had multiple times with the deans of the marketing and the dean of the journalism school, which is why I want to try that new convention style next year, because I think you'd be shocked that when publishers see stuff in the room, they're like, wait a minute, no, none of that works. What are you talking about? But we're working with LSU to provide Bill with even more support so that we can, a lot of it is so we can grow this functionality and we can grow this partnership with our member papers. So if you have questions, my direct line is there. I get a lot of spam. So my recommendation, my cell is there. You can text me or give me a shout, or you can email Bill or I. Our emails are there, but we do have plenty of time for questions today. I see Kim had to walk away. She's the only new one. But Michelle, I mean, you were here last week. If you had any follow-up questions, or if anybody has any questions, we're done with our portion, opening it up for questions.
Okay, well, as we were sitting here and, between my trips to the coffee pot to make a cup of coffee, I sat down and wrote down some businesses that would benefit from this. And surprisingly, there are more than I thought there would be. So, especially based on the list that was in the, whatever you call that, the presentation.
Sure, I can go back to it. Let's scroll
Um,
back up here.
Yes. You know, I have schools, 1, 2, 3, colleges, maybe 4. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 3 manufacturing, dentist office, 2 auto dealerships, a hotel, and our hospital. So yeah, I've made quite a list.
Yeah, that is a good list, and Bill can talk a little bit more about this, but if you have, are they expansions of statewide schools for those colleges, or are they community colleges? Are they local?
Well, 2 are community colleges. One is a VOTEC, the other is a community college, and then 2 of the schools, Grambling and Tech, those are universities. So, and I've been
Gotcha.
trying to get Louisiana Tech and Grambling for 6 years now. So, because, and I can't get anywhere because I don't know who I'm supposed to talk to. So, that's been part of my problem. The dentist office, they have advertised with us before, but they are never happy with our print advertisement because, well, you know, because sometimes our press machine is not great. So sometimes the ads don't come out as they should. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. I am a former publisher. I know all about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, and if we have if we have an edition that publishes in color, the color is actually better quality than the black and white. And I have no idea why that is.
That's the most fascinating thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
I know,
Because
right?
there was a point in time I printed our paper as well, and like
Yeah.
that's crazy.
That
It is
Well,
crazy.
well, there's a time that I printed our paper too, and that makes sense to me the way we ran it. We would put the black units, which were the older units and less maintained, in line. So if it was running on a black unit with poor maintenance, you were going to get a poor print job.
Well, that makes sense.
It just depends on the size, the press line, and the size of it, and the quality. But I can understand that.
So yeah, we lost some advertising with them because of that. And I'm not quite sure what to do to get that back. We have some, I don't know if any of you have actually been to our website, but it's very simple. It's there's not very much to it, and it's not like it's not like posting stories to Facebook or to, you know, whatever social media is used.
Do you print your own paper or you job it out?
No, we print our own. Now, Natchitoches is our corporate office, so they actually print the paper.
All right.
So I
I would
email it.
suggest to talk to them because our color paper sells a lot better than when we used to have black and white.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, you know, I've been told that, and I guess it's true, but I I have to have a color ad in order for us to run in color. So
Okay, so that's a corporate requirement that they put on you, I'm guessing.
yes.
Okay. Well, the good thing about this program, and I'll let Bill talk a little bit more in detail about this, but this expands beyond your paper and your website. We offer more than just some ad placement. Now, we do work with especially larger clients. We do have the LPA member network for both digital and print. Some of it is payout, some of it goes against your dues. And then, of course, we have the paid for print advertising that goes out. So we try to offer them all of it, but there is some digital offering here that goes well beyond just sort of your local area and what you can offer in print and online. And Bill, if you want to talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, so as McHugh mentioned, you know, we've got what we typically refer to in the newspaper industry as our owner operated, you know, products, the print, and then our online digital.
Excuse me.
What? Yeah.
Um, okay, never mind.
A lot of times, I'm going to try not to get too nerdy here. That is adequate always for branding, okay? Which is what a lot of clients need. They need it. But sometimes they need a more direct response approach to their marketing. They've got to connect with people that are actually in market for their goods, products, or services. And that will always require that we go beyond just a pure branding strategy. And that requires, you know, digital marketing service products to really do that effectively. And these are the things that really drive the ROI and make these campaigns so compelling, because when they're done right, what you won't hear is something didn't work or they didn't get results. Because a direct response campaign, be it through email, be it through Google, be it through OTT or CTV or device ID or geofencing, whatever it may be, is a hard thing to refute when it's really driving your business hard. And so what we try not to do, we try to remain product agnostic, meaning that we don't want to sell a product to anyone. What we're trying to do is sell a solution. Find out what their greatest need is, what their budget allows them, and then align a strategy, a digital strategy to accommodate that. And then what we also want to do is we want to do it so well and so skillfully that at the end of 6 months or 12 months, we not only go back in and get the renewal, but we've also earned the right to now help them with more of what their goals are. So we're now upselling. And in return, you're starting to make more money as a result of it, as well as we are. Does that help?
Yes, very much so. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Good question. And, you know, when you get with Bill and I, you'll start getting a little more in the weeds because we'll start talking about specific needs of these businesses, and you'll learn a little bit more in depth about these products as we work with you on these clients. So that there'll be more time to learn then, but that is a good question. Does anybody else have any questions? Bueller?
I have a question. When we have a local insurance agent that sold to a larger broker recently, Hub Insurance Services. I don't know if they're national or regional or what, but I know they're big. So when you sell digital services, it's not like our paper that's just circulated to 3,000 subscribers. It can go to any area. How
Yes,
do
sir.
you work out the cost to the client? In other words, if we made a proposal to them, they could literally market anywhere in Louisiana if they so decide to. They may not want to for insurance, but how do you make the cost to the customer? How do you justify that, Bill? If you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, great question. Really good question. So one of the things that we need to identify is who's your ideal demographic, Okay. Um, I have a list here. You know, who's your ideal demographic? Um, how much does your ideal customer spend with you? How many ideal customers do you have per month? How many would you like for it to be? And then where do you pull your current customers from? And where would you like to pull where would you like to pull these customers from? In other words, right now you're currently getting all your customers from, let's just say, Bell Chase. But you say to me, you know what? I also need all those people down at Port Sulphur, right? And so now we're getting more information about what their goals are and what they need. Then I'll skillfully try to find out, what is your ideal customer worth to you, to your business? What is that value? And they'll say, oh man, that's, $10,000, $15,000. And then I'll try to find out exactly how many they need, what their goal is per month, and how far off, we are. Let's say it's, I don't know, 20 or 25 or 30 that they're short. Well, now we've got the number 25 and we've got the number $10,000 to the value. Now I know how much that's worth to them. Then I can come back and I can say, what would it be worth to you if we could close that gap 25, 35, 45% and get you closer to X? And they'll come back, that'd be, I'd be willing to pay somebody, $15,000, $25,000 if they could do that. I say, okay, great. I'm not saying I can do that, but let me give that some thought. And then I go back and do some research and I get my pencil sharp on what it would take to do that. And then I'll come back and from an audit, I'll show them, okay, here's where you're at. This is what your opportunity is. This is what's available right now to you. If you could spend this, we could achieve this. Is that something you might be interested in? And a lot of times when you've done your homework well, people are going to say yes. Because now you're bringing value to them. You're bringing insight. You're bringing things that most people aren't. A lot of people in our industry just, they're throwing stuff up against the wall and they're hoping that it sticks. There's real no science to what they're doing or how they're going about it. They don't know how to get razor sharp on bringing value to people. And so I don't know if that answers your question, Norris, but that's how I would validate that dollar amount with them. A lot of it is just them telling me what their needs are, and then me bringing my expertise to them with what they're telling me their needs are.
Okay, well, it's a friend of mine that had the agency and he just sold less than 2 years ago. But they've retained his services, and he was lamenting about 6 months ago over the workload that he has, that it's not working out like he thought it would, because he thought in other words, they're requiring him to sell more than he expected. So I'm assuming it's because it's a large company that they have their own digital marketing, but I don't know what his personal goals to the company are, and maybe we could help with that. So I might take him to lunch and have a conversation with him and see if that might be something that we can kind of look at and see if that might work out for all above.
Right.
What about financial uh, uh, financial analysts and planners for people? Would that be a possibility?
It would be if it's a business. If it's an individual,
It is. No, I have a couple of businesses that
yeah.
I'm thinking of.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. But to go back and answer your question about the insurance company, depending on what its size is, usually they have 3 tiers. So tier 1 is, I sell a life insurance policy and I don't know, 0.5% of that sale goes to the tier 1 bucket for, you know, advertising, let's say State Farm nationwide or within my region. Usually it's nationwide. And then tier 2 is, hey, all the State Farm guys within, Southern Louisiana, whatever their region is, they put, a percentage of each sale into a bucket that then goes into a general pool for advertising. And so that's tier 1 and 2. Where these guys have their moment for growing their business individually is when they get involved in the tier 3 advertising, which sounds like is what you're talking about. He's got to grow his local business. Forget the rest. Forget the company. I got to deal with me right here. And so that would be us going in, understanding, what his needs are, his goals are, figuring out what his opportunity is, and then how we achieve that. But yeah, we can do that, definitely.
Okay, great.
All right, good questions, Norris. Does anybody else have any questions?
All right, I'll jump in just for fun. So let's say we get this, and like we have the meeting, we sign the client on the bottom line, and they want to do retargeting, they want to do SEO, they want to do all the things. What kind of time frame are we looking at from agreement to implementation for that client?
That's a great question. Unfortunately, depending on what the product mix is, some things take longer than others. But usually, if we've got all the creatives, if we've got the URLs, we can usually get that done within 2 weeks. It'll be in fulfillment and the campaign will be live within 2 weeks.
Now to answer your question, David, from my end on how long it took us to get, now, of course, we're learning. It started in January with me listening to Bill and Jerry and thinking about it, and then the opportunity to see the right person and pitch it to her and get my business partner involved. So we started kind of in January working on it. I believe in March is when Bill and Dale finally got to a good point with the administrator. Now we're talking about a hospital that's got to get board approval for a lot of things too. So April is when they started the program, and we didn't start getting paid on it until June, but we got paid for April and May in June. So, there is, depending on who the client is and what you have to do to get it started and the learning curve as well, it might take a while, but I'm talking about money we would not have had. And I'm also talking about money that the same facility had spent the prior year with someone else. And then they quit doing it because they thought they believed it was very successful, but they didn't see the ROI in it. So, yes, what I've seen has taken 6 months, but it was a multi-level and a lot of discussions and a lot of learning curve in the meantime.
But I think to answer your question though, David, we're assuming that, they've signed on the dotted line. We've got all our creatives, we've got our URLs. All things are green light at that point. Safely, you can assume about 2 weeks. Now, I have one caveat to that. Our process with the hospital was long. Some of that was them learning, some things as well along the way. And they had a hard time agreeing on creative, which slowed us down quite a bit. We were waiting on them more than they were waiting on us, definitely. But the one caveat to my answer is SEO. And the reason SEO is a very long process. if they say, hey, we want to do SEO, or we agree that they need it, and they sign on the dotted line and we get it going, that's a 6-month process for that thing to become optimized. And that has nothing to do with their site or our process. That's a Google thing. Google is very consumer centric, and they're not interested in accommodating advertisers. As a matter of fact, even when you're, 100% optimized, they still keep, 13% in their margin. Like, so I'm 87 to 90% optimized with any client, that's quote unquote optimized. And that's by their design. The secret sauce they don't let us know about. And so it takes a long time to get down on our hands and knees, as it were, digitally, and pull all the weeds to get somebody's website optimized. And so that's a 6-month process. But we can start it immediately and they'll start getting results from it.
Right.
But that fulfillment period, we just got to understand it's a little longer.
Good question, David. And thank you, Norris, for chiming in on your experience as well. Anybody else? Questions? Okay. I pride myself in running efficient meetings. So if you do think of any other questions, I'll scroll back to this last screen here, and Kim, I'm going to send you this presentation. It has email is probably the best way to get in touch with me and Bill, or you can text me on my cell phone, which is there. Please remember the best time to start this is now. Look at this slide, identify some businesses in your area, and then reach out to Bill and I, and we can get the process started. And if you're ever want a reminder of what the process looks like, here it is. This is how it'll, and now we all know a plan is a plan, and sometimes the plan has to be altered, but this is typically how this goes. So this gives you a good idea of what the timeline is and how we work through it. So I appreciate everybody taking time out of their day. Again, my name is McHugh David. I'm the executive director of Louisiana Press Association, Louisiana Press Marketing. Bill Tice is our senior account executive and digital manager for our advertising department. He does a great job, and I will be closing this up in a minute, and so I can process the video. And like I told y'all before the meeting, as soon as I can get our Google account switched over to my name and phone number and everything, I'll be able to upload those videos and I'll send them out. And Kim, as I stated, I will send you this presentation immediately after the meeting. So Dave, if you want to stay on for a minute, you and I can talk, but everybody else, thanks for joining us.
And McHugh, real quick, I did hear back from Ron. He said that he already registered and he's the one that's coming.
Yeah, he did. That was my fault. I looked at the spreadsheet and I was like, oh my goodness, Ron's name's already on there.
Okay.
But thank you for asking him. And thank you guys for joining us. And again, these are every 2 weeks on Friday at 10 a.m. This same bat time, same bat channel. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.